Before we start today's show, we want to invite you to stick around at the end of the episode to enjoy a preview of a new podcast that premieres on July 14th. As the industry's exclusive cannabis podcast network, MJBulls is proud to present Women Leading in Cannabis. Join host Kira Reed each week for inspirational discussions with women who are leading the cannabis industry. For too many years, families of children with devastating illnesses have felt helpless as they watch their child suffer. Today, they're taking matters into their own hands and finally finding relief treating their child with cannabis. This is one family's story.
Hi, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Love and Cannabis. I am Nina.
I'm Osiris.
And we are the proud parents of Aiden.
Welcome to another episode, guys. How are you?
Hey, everyone.
Hey, out there, if you guys are going through it, you guys are hanging in there, you guys are doing your thing. Keep it up. Hang in there. You're not alone, as we always say.
Exactly.
So what we're going to talk about today, I think we left off of decriminalization. How's that look?
Yeah, big topic, especially here in New York.
Yeah, big topic, and it isn't with common sense. It's like it is and it isn't. I mean, if you think about it, you decriminalize this plant, it changes everything. It changes people's perspective, possibly. You could bring a message and understanding that this plant is helping people to reconnect with themselves. It's kind of a healing plant. It has so much benefits on the upside than anything else on the downside. You know what I mean? So it's like we need to really get that message across so people understand, so they're no longer afraid. No more hiding. I mean, just having conversations with people, like it's like almost taboo. It's like marijuana's been around for a long time, people. Let's be real. It's not like, hey, you got a pound of cocaine. No, it's like, it's marijuana. Let's talk about it. Let's be open up front. So I think it's what we've said before once about the stigma. It's just like removing that stigma.
Yeah, and I think it's going to take a while.
We don't have a while. We don't have a while. We really don't.
So there's some things that are happening in New York that kind of is starting what they call a decriminalization process. So they're not arresting people. Before, if you had, say, 2 ounces, you would get...
You get arrested.
Yeah.
Hell, they were arresting people for just a joint or,
you would get... Now...
Depends on the police officer at the time.
Exactly.
That was because of the... it was something that they called the broken window program, I think, during the Bloomberg Giuliani time, where loitering was a problem, walking around with a can of beer, those things at the time, because, they wanted to clean up the community. So they were tightening up on a lot of things. But that's changed since then.
Yeah, so now you will just get like a fine or a ticket if you're caught with 2 ounces.
Yeah, or less. You know what's so crazy about that is they have to make up for what they potentially going to lose. Because you can imagine the arrests they've had relating to marijuana, and just the possession alone. It's not even so much as just distribution.
It's the possession.
Just the possession. Yeah, so you
big arrest.
Yeah, so you think about it. If you run a prison like a hotel, you're making money off of occupancy.
Yeah.
So now you're saying, well, we've decriminalized it. We're not going to be arresting anybody anymore. So what happens to those people in the prison and those who are projected to come into the prison because of this? So you're got to figure out, like, how we're going to make up the loss of those revenues.
Yeah, make up the difference.
Yeah, because, again, you've adjusted your books based on that. You've been paying bills based on this income. You've been paying salaries. You've been doing all these things. Now, all of a sudden, that's going to be gone. So how you going to make... So it's like, we're going to let go, but we're not going to completely let it go. So we're going to fine you. So, got to keep that money rolling. I got to pay bills.
But I do definitely, when I'm walking, definitely, people are openly smoking more than ever now.
I just think that New York has been crazy. I mean, we've always just did things out openly. I mean, granted, yeah, it's illegal, but it's going to happen in New York.
I see a lot of people, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I just do see a lot of people just I smell it openly smoking, and they're not the cops are not really paying attention to it as much, or...
Well, yeah, and it's interesting, though, what I've noticed also, people are smoking less than cigarettes. I've been seeing more...
Well, yeah, because they're really expensive.
Yeah, that too. That too. And there's no benefit there. There's no medical benefit there. So, yeah, your you might as well just switch over.
Maybe.
You might as well. At least you'd be healing yourself, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Go figure.
Much better for your body.
Yeah, it's like, how dare any doctors, counter that thought process there. But, I mean, as we think about decriminalizing this plant, what that would mean, I mean, for the most part, it's the shift in the thought process. It's like, this plant is not dangerous. This plant should not be scheduled the way it is scheduled.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Why is this plant scheduled and compared to other drugs that are just like, are you serious?
So let's get into that. So basically, drugs are scheduled into 5 different distinct categories.
Question for you before you even get it. Who determines this? Like, who comes up with the idea, like, this is how we're going to schedule it?
Basically, they go by different criteria.
Well, I mean, in a sense, like...
Oh, the DEA.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to get at, because I'm trying to, like, who's sitting on this committee and say,
so
that's a drug, that's not a drug. But I'm assuming that the DEA is working with the pharmaceutical industry, maybe? Doctors, is there somebody that they talk to? That they could determine, like, okay, how do we define?
Yeah, maybe it has to, because they have to be able to define what categories these certain substances go into.
They would have to, because most of the pharmaceutical companies are the ones that are creating these drugs.
Exactly.
So they have to be able to say, well, yeah, they should have this, they shouldn't have that. This is dangerous, this is not.
Exactly.
And they sell it to us. Go figure. That's another story. Go ahead.
So there's basically 5 categories, 5 schedules. So a schedule 1 means that it's very addictive and there's no medical value, no medical use, and it has a high potential for abuse.
So what falls under that? What drugs falls under schedule 1?
LSD.
Oh, great. Yeah, we all got that going around. Like, yeah, I have it in my back pocket.
Ecstasy.
Okay, no comment.
Heroin.
Okay. Yeah, God.
Peyote.
Is peyote?
Yeah.
I mean, but that's interesting because Native Americans used it. It is a hallucinogen. But they used to use it for, like, spiritual rituals. It wasn't like something that say, hey, let's go do some peyote. But they did it for communications with the spirit. They did it as a moment of where they gathered as a group, or even they had guests. They would sit there and they would use peyote. It's a leaf. I believe it's a leaf, and they would either chew on it or even sometimes smoke it. So that's interesting. It's up there. I mean, I don't know. Maybe check my guy in the corner to see if he has peyote. But I don't
Never heard of it, actually.
I mean, I just don't see it out there. But okay, we'll go with that. Okay.
Another one, Quaalude.
Ah, Bill.
Honestly, I never heard of this until this whole Bill Cosby thing.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Never heard of Quaalude before.
Yeah, they used it back in the 70s. It's a muscle relaxer, and they used to party it up with that drug. And from my understanding, it's like only certain people were able to get that. You had to be really connected to a doctor. It's not like now where doctors usually just like write prescriptions left to right. It's like you had to know somebody. You had to be like connected with people in Hollywood to really get that access. So, yeah, man.
So, and guess what is under a Schedule 1, people? Cannabis, marijuana. So it's up there with ecstasy and LSD. Interesting.
And heroin out of all drugs.
And heroin. So basically, they're saying, and to this day, they're saying that there is no medical value.
That's absurd.
And clearly, there is. I read articles every week.
In fact, they're publicizing medical records. I mean, there's specific research specifically on the cannabinoids. And then you got to look at Israel. Israel's been doing research since, for like over almost 40, 60 years.
So
it's a lie.
It's very confusing.
It's not confusing. They know what they're doing. Oh, okay, that's something. But it's all a lie. It's all propaganda on their end. And also, if they saw there was no medical value, why do they have patents on the plant?
Exactly. Why is there the Epidiolex, which is a cannabis-derived
suspect
medicine they're giving to kids with epilepsy? So
no value though.
But yet no value.
No medicinal
and
value.
They refuse. The federal government refuses till this day to take cannabis off as a Schedule 1.
But I would have to say, I mean, granted, I may catch some, flack over this, but I have to give credit to Trump on this, is that he has stayed true to this point, because I recall with him coming into office, he stated that he would not use any federal resources to go after medicinal cannabis or medical marijuana. So he's hold true to that, because that part of the industry is definitely growing. And he also said, I will leave it up to the states to determine how they will handle medical marijuana and recreational. So we do have a hands-off in that sense in our office. In the White House, there's a hands-off approach in a sense of dealing with marijuana. So the states are really left to try to put something together while the federal government is trying to prepare to do, because you think about it, if the federal government does decriminalize it, you're looking across the board that all the states have to adjust and say, okay, what do we do with these individuals that are in the prisons right now who have faced either anywhere between 5 or maybe a couple, we'll start this, maybe 1 to 2 years to even as far as 30 years of prison time for possession. What do you do with that? That's like one of those movies where people disappear for a certain period of time and then they come back and they're trying to readjust. That's what that's going to look like. It's like, okay, I've been gone for so long. How do I fit in? Where do I fit in? How do I reclaim what's gone or what's owed to me? So that's a lot of, unleft answers there, because financially it may be a problem from some states if they have to, let's say, reparations. Because I know that was a discussion in the beginning when it came with decriminalization, reparations, and how to give back to those individuals who have lost so much over this plant while other people are making millions of dollars. Is it fair to tap the industry as it is now to pay for the mistakes or for the decisions that the states have made or the federal government made? Is it fair for a new industry to do that?
What are you saying, to pay?
For those who've been harmed by being in prison. So you have an industry now that's growing, that's, paying tax. So those tax money, because what's going to eventually happen if that is the case, it's going to cause retailers, anyone in the cannabis industry to raise prices now to make up for those taxes, the tax burdens that they're going to have in order to make up for the reparations. When the states were the ones who would cause these injuries. So you're like saying, you know what, like what they wanted to do with lottery. When the lottery was first created, they said, a portion of those tax monies that we collect from lottery or the winnings that we collect from the lottery would pay for education, would pay for roads, would pay for all these things. That really hasn't worked out.
Yeah, I don't know what they would do. I mean, I just don't understand why the federal government doesn't want to take responsibility.
There you go. That's exactly what it is. We screwed up, but we don't know how to handle it now.
Yeah, take responsibility. You know that this cannabis should not be, everyone knows, it's pretty clear.
It is clear
that it should not be a Schedule 1. But yet they do not have the guts. And there's no talks about it being descheduled. And that's the main problem.
Yeah, it is. It is. And there's a lot of things. And now there's words that pharmaceutical industries are really moving in behind closed doors into the industry. I mean, GW Pharma is one, but there are many others who are now looking to, not even now looking, they've been using derived parts of the plant, but now they're looking to actually really take over. Before, the thought process was that they're going to come in and start buying out companies. Now they're looking to get in on their own without having to buy a company.
Yeah, so it doesn't. If companies are doing all of this, just change the wording, change the paperwork, do what you have to do to deschedule it. It is not on the same level as LSD.
It's definitely not. Even
come on.
Let's look at Schedule 2. What is Schedule 2?
So Schedule 2, they're very similar to Schedule 1. Mm-hmm. However, they supposedly have less dependence.
Okay. Suspect, but go ahead.
And they may have some type of medical benefit.
Some, but are they considered dangerous like the Schedule 1?
Yes, they are dangerous, but not as dangerous.
I don't know. I question everything the DA does, but go ahead. I'll run with it. Go ahead.
So Schedule 2 are things like Vicodin.
Okay.
Cocaine.
Okay, now you lost me. But go ahead. I'll ride this one out with you. Go ahead.
Methadone.
Oh.
And let me just say something. If you've ever lived near a methadone clinic, you'll know it is highly addictive.
Well, I forgot what they call that. There's a movie behind it. It's like it's Zombieland, basically.
Yeah. So I don't know. So then you also have Oxycontin.
Are we serious here?
Ritalin.
Okay.
Yeah, and Adderall.
Adderall, wow.
And fentanyl.
Fentanyl?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how dangerous that drug is?
Exactly. So basically, just to reiterate, all the drugs that I just mentioned are considered to be less dependent, less dangerous than cannabis. So cocaine.
Someone is really high. No pun intended, but someone has been doing something to come up and state that this is Schedule 2 and this is Schedule 1. Mm-hmm. Schedule 1, marijuana, is more dangerous than cocaine, methamphetamine, methadone, fentanyl. Fentanyl. Like, fentanyl was being mixed with heroin. But now you have a group of people who are saying, you know what? I don't even want the heroin anymore. I just want the fentanyl. And the fentanyl kills.
Yeah.
It kills.
Oh, speaking of kills. So basically, you cannot overdose
on marijuana. You just go to sleep or you eat. You just have the munchies.
To a point where you can die. I'm not saying things that are laced, but you can overdose on cocaine. You can overdose on Oxycontin.
Fentanyl. Fentanyl doesn't even take that much for you to overdose.
You can overdose on Dilaudid and die.
Yeah, this is where I have to say none of this makes sense.
And he spoke to a cannabis doctor. There are no known, even the neurologist in New York City said there have been no known deaths over cannabis.
No direct cause of unless something was laced.
Unless it was laced. And a lot of times people don't know.
Yeah, depending where you're getting your stuff from.
You may not know that your stuff is laced.
Yeah, with pesticides, with
even things like other drugs, LSD.
Yeah, because people want to. Yeah, because people want to push the limits on the high, and then also you have those individuals who do the black market. They want their customers to come back, so they try to get them addicted. So they add certain things to it. You know, like your cocaine, your heroin. They would lace it with something stronger. Hell, at one point they were spraying bug spray, like roach spray, on the marijuana to give it an extra boost. And I've seen what it's done to some people because I've had some friends in the past that literally became zombies after that. They were never the same.
I had friends in college,
all they did was walk the streets. They did nothing else but just walk the streets to this day. In fact, we're in Harlem, and we know 2 neighbors that are like that. They had great outlooks on life, potential, hung out with the wrong people. Those people had some laced marijuana. They took a pull, and they've never been the same ever. So it affects everybody differently, because the people they probably were hanging out with, they were okay with it. But these guys, they might have been extra sensitive, and they just sent them somewhere else.
Yeah.
So this scheduling stuff doesn't make sense. So it's up there with Common Core, but that's another story too. It just doesn't make any sense. But so going forward then, so what are we looking at then in Schedule 3? Because this is all interesting as we keep going through this.
So Schedule 3 has moderate to low potential for abuse.
Really?
Physical or psychological abuse.
Not dependency or just...
It has a low potential for dependency.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. I'm listening. This ought to be interesting. So what drugs fall into that category?
Codeine.
Okay. Again, you're using
Tylenol with codeine.
So there's... Okay, what else? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Testosterone.
Testosterone, meaning...
A steroid.
Okay. And... Okay, what else?
Ketamine. I don't know what that is.
Ketamine. Yes, there... Okay, so... all these drugs are addictive.
Can be, definitely.
Not can be. They're addictive. I'm like, who are they studying? Just lab rats? Because there are people out there who get addicted to these things. So that's why I'm like, I'm not understanding that it's a low, moderate potential for physical, psychological dependence. There is, especially with steroids. I've played sports. I've known guys who've used them and they became addicted to it psychologically because they had to have this physical appearance, but they knew they couldn't get it without the drug. So they had to continue to use it. No matter what harm came with it, they knew they were harming themselves. Because if you understand how steroids work, it kind of shuts down your natural body's ability to produce these certain things like testosterone. So now your body's dependent on it. But once you stop using it, it's not being replaced because you've already replaced it with an artificial version of it.
Exactly.
So you're going to have to keep using it. And if you continue to use it, you're also damaging your body long term. Now you're looking at codeine, really? Painkiller.
Exactly.
We already know what's going on with the painkiller industry. I mean, like, oh, you said low to moderate? Who's putting this together?
Exactly. So let's go to the last one. Second to the fourth one.
Okay, Schedule 4.
Schedule 4. And I'm already looking at this list, and I see a lot of things here that are addictive, like value.
But hold on a second. But how are we defining Schedule 4? Because if Schedule 3 is already lower.
Schedule 4 is low potential for abuse and low risk of dependence. Xanax. So, number 1.
Oh, my God. Seriously?
Okay, so, yeah. I know everyone knows people who are hooked on Xanax.
Some people take it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, they can't even think about not having it. But go ahead.
This is not to joke on people who take Xanax. We're just having fun here, but
we're having fun with the idea that with someone who saes that this is not addictive.
Exactly.
This is low to moderate. Come on, these guys can use it. They're okay.
Valium is addictive. Your body gets very dependent on Valium.
Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Someone actually thought that, hey, this is going to be all right. Nah, we can make it a Schedule 4. It's not that problematic. But yet, there's known the doctors be arrested for overprescribing these particular drugs. What's another one?
Ativan.
Okay, so that's up there too. So this is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm like kind of lost for words, but I'm not, because it just doesn't. It's asinine, really. I'm sorry. It doesn't make sense. What else?
Tramadol.
Mm-hmm.
And Ambien is
Ambien. Wow. Well, your dreams have dreams.
I don't think I've ever taken Ambien, but I know.
No, you did once.
Did I?
Yes, I remember a couple of years ago, a few years back, you took it. You had a bad experience with it, and you never used it again because you were having a real rough time sleeping. And I think it was either before or after the pregnancy that you just couldn't. You were having trouble sleeping, and you took it. I remember that. And you woke up, and woke up in the middle of the night and just started sleepwalking. You were having these hallucinations. I'm like, Whoa. And then you didn't remember anything the next day. I remember that. Yes, you took it. You said never again. You just did not feel the same. Good job, DEA. Good job. That's all I can say. Good job. So now we're on to what? Schedule 5, because this is all interesting.
Yeah, so Schedule 5 is lower potential for abuse.
Okay.
So these are things like your anti-diarrhea.
Okay.
Yeah, like Robitussin.
Oh, I thought people started abusing that. I thought people were making, what is that? Is that Molly drink? Or the syrup?
I think there was an issue with Robitussin AC. Yeah,
they were using certain cough medicines to make a drink that became addictive. I gotta look that up, folks. Let's look up what what's in the Molly. But go ahead.
Yeah, Motrin, and Lyrica, things like that. So they're things that you can get at the drugstore.
You know, it's funny though. What is like the common thing from all these drugs? One common thing that if you had to centralize
everything on this list, if you overdose on any of these things except for the cannabis, you would need to get your stomach pumped or you could potentially die.
But there is one central thing that I picked up. Like, who has control and access for a majority of all these things that we've read? Or who produces these drugs?
Well, the pharmaceutical companies do.
Message. So it would probably benefit them to actually to participate in categorizing these as well. As like, hey guys, DEA, before you kind of like schedule this, can we talk about how you're going to schedule this? Because ultimately it could affect revenue, just in case, liability, all these things. Because the fact that they have no control over the plant, but yet these things that they create in a laboratory using derivatives, because you think about it, a lot of them do have origins from a particular plant, like cocaine. That comes from the cocoa plant, and then it's like they use it, and it does have some medicinal benefits. Cocaine does have some medicinal benefits, like your codeine, your Novocaine. It's numbing, antiseptic. They use it, but then there are those that abuse it. But for the most part, the pharmaceutical industry has control over these things. And my thought, this is just me speaking out loud, us as a movement, as the cannabis movement, as we look at the medicinal side of it and we're pushing the medicinal benefits of it, the messaging may get used against us in a way by the pharmaceutical industry, in a sense that, oh, you guys are preaching that it's medicine. Well, who controls medicine? Who has the right to decide what's medicine and not? Doctors. And who do doctors work with? Pharmaceutical industry. So what are they going to do? They're going to say, hey, you know what? Since it is a medicine, we should be the one deciding how you have access to this. So we are going to now control and manage who will be moving forward, be able to administer it.
Yeah, I think
to dispense it.
Yeah.
So it's going to fall back into their hands. And one thing that we don't want to happen is literally what we're doing by calling it medicine. So we may have to actually start to think about, we got to control the messaging. We may have to shift how we message, cannabis. Because truthfully, you should be able to have access to something that really reconnects with you, on a cellular level.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I do see that shift, that if we do consider it medicine, that the pharmaceutical companies are going to want to totally take it over.
Oh, yeah. That's their plan.
And, only certain people will be able to get it and to be under their
care. And then, you know what they're going to do? They're going to charge us through the nose.
It'll be very expensive.
For a plant that just grows in a while.
And maybe diluted.
Maybe diluted?
Okay, diluted.
And maybe even have added preservatives, added chemicals to it to enhance it, as opposed to using it in its pure sense, in how it's supposed to.
The raw form.
Yeah, exactly. I've never known them to want to do anything really except make money. And I understand that people are making money in this industry. That's great. But at the same time, there are people out there who are actually doing the right thing by people. I mean, for us personally, we've met so many amazing people out there who want to genuinely help us and our son. You know, Uncle Pete, thank you. Love you, brother. We went up to Maine to visit a friend of ours. I've been meaning to go see him, Uncle Pete. And he has his own dispensary, and he's been helping hundreds and hundreds of people. And he took the time out to help us out, you know, share some products with us and basically share some ideas, you know, how we can help our son and his epilepsy. And the fact that he opened his door to us, I mean, you know, you have people say, yeah, you come and see me, we'll take care of you for family and this. You know, a lot of people could be talk, but when you actually go and you meet these individuals, you spend time with them, and you realize, they're very genuine. They really want to help people, and they don't look to make extra money. Like some of the people in this industry are. I'm not gonna lie. You do have your snake oil salesmen out there. Let's not hide from it. The reality is there are people out there who are selling some, you know, just straight olive oil, straight vegetable oil, and they're not giving you anything of substance. They have no CBD. They have no value in their products. If anything, it's sometimes diluted. That happens. That happens across the board in all the industries. But at the same time, there are a majority of individuals who are wholesome, who are grounded, and who are, you know, doing so much and helping people one person at a time. And it's we've been very fortunate to meet them. And I thank you. I mean, there's so many people we want to thank, you know, out there. And we're gonna go into that one day and really share some stories of people that we've met along the way in our journey and who've actually opened their arms to us and, you know, shared, you know, some of their products with us to help us, you know, get an idea of what is it that we need to do to help our son. Thank you. Love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. This was a very interesting episode. And I knew that cannabis was a Schedule 1, but I didn't know all the other
it's amazing. When you really peel it back,
that they were considered more harmful.
No, once you peel it back, it's like,
wow.
Yeah, it's like, but I'm looking at it this way, like, what was the thought process for you guys to come up with this criteria? Because it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. And the thing is this, we don't question them.
Exactly.
We don't push them to explain it.
Explain everything. Why?
It's like we accept it as it. Why? Because they're authority? No. But the thing is, we're supposed to be an educated country. We're supposed to be, I mean, for a powerful nation, why are we not being able to challenge those who make these decisions and say, no, prove it to us. Explain why is it that you made decision? What was the process? What is the criteria? Because it doesn't make any sense, and we do have the research to prove it.
Exactly. So I think the message behind this is that do not take anything for face value.
No. Especially something like this movement where it's helping so many people across the board, no matter what race, creed, age. It's bringing people back within to themselves, and it's part of their healing process.
So thanks for tuning in, right?
Yeah, this has been very interesting and eye-opening episode, I have to say, because, wow.
I hope who didn't know, now you know.
Yeah, you can't say you don't know. You just can't. You can't walk around here saying you don't know. And if anything else, whatever we say, go out there and prove us wrong. Go out there and do the research. And that's more important than anything else. Find your own information. Do your research. Dig deep. Especially those who are listening who really don't know or don't understand what's going on. Just start research. Do what we did. We started researching. We started reading. We started just basically find one person that seems to have something that connect with us, and we just kept reading from based on that per individual, and then it just started expanding from there. So, you know, guys, we got to keep moving forward. We got to stand together. You know, that's the only way our industry is going to stay whole is grassroots, but also, you know, collectively being on the same page. Okay?
All right. Have a good one.
All right, guys. Thanks again.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Love and Cannabis. I'm Nina.
I'm Osiris.
And we're the proud parents of
Aiden. Be strong.
And stay empowered.
My name is Kira Reed, and I'd like to invite you to be inspired by the women who are leading in the cannabis industry. Each week, we will discuss empowerment, leadership, and what it means to be a woman in charge in marijuana, hemp, and CBD. As the founder of the Women Empowered in Cannabis community, I have had the great pleasure to get to know many brilliant and talented women who are CEOs, executives, politicians, advocates, and community leaders that are focused on creating a cannabis economy that is just, fair, and equal. We'll learn how these women make decisions, how they navigate a predominantly male industry, and what they're doing to level the playing field for women. I hope you'll join us.